The following program is available in described video.
Every step has been perfected. Every detail put in place. History is about to be made here in London. This is Coronation Day for King Charles III, who, after a lifetime of waiting, will take the coronation oath and be officially crowned. A moment like this hasn't been seen in decades. Cameras were new and hotly contested at the last coronation when Queen Elizabeth was crowned back in 1953. This time, Charles is making his own modern tweaks as he ushers this ancient symbolic ceremony and the monarchy into a new era. Welcome to London on what is set to be a truly remarkable day. You are, of course, looking at some of the pictures just outside Westminster Abbey, where in only a few hours now, King Charles's coronation will take place. Good morning to you, Canada. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Thank you for being with us bright and early, or maybe dark and early, depending on where you're watching exactly. I hope by now that you've put the kettle on. We are just outside Buckingham Palace, barely a few meters from Canada Gate, for those familiar with this part of London. And we're in this spot because this is where today's events will really begin. The King and Queen Consort are in the palace behind me right now. This is the first place where we will see them as they head to the coronation. So we have a couple of old friends here with us to help guide us through this day, all day. Former CBC London Bureau Chief Anne Macmillan, who also just co-authored a book, Kings and Queens of England, very handy that, with your husband Peter Snow, broadcaster and historian Dan Snow, who happens to be their son.
That's right.
Both of you dear friends of ours, so thank you for being with us. This is such an important day for these two people, the King and Queen Consort, but obviously so much more than that.
It is. It's a very special day because this ceremony dates back over 1,000 years, and it's changed considerably during that period, but it never fails to dazzle. And as someone who actually remembers watching it on television in Toronto, age 6, I can hardly wait to see what's going on today.
Pretty special to have had a television.
Well, we didn't have one. Our neighbor had one, the only person on the street who had one, because it was brand new at that time.
Fantastic. So Dan, in terms of what's been happening as we've been sitting here, for about 2 hours before we went on the air, people were starting to arrive at the Abbey. I think we saw Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber. We saw Emma Thompson,
Stephen Fry, lots of Harry Potter alumni in there, I've got to say. So lots of dignitaries, lots of celebrity, famous people, entertainment faces from the UK, Joanna Lumley, all that kind of stuff. So it's a packed Abbey. They're not as busy as it would have been in the past.
So you do not get into that building without an extraordinary invitation, and I actually can't believe it, but you brought one in.
I did. I borrowed this, Adrienne, from my sister Margaret, who's a historian and has the Order of Canada, and she is representing the Order of Canada in a procession and will be sitting in the Abbey, and she lent me her invitation, which is very special. It's quite heavy.
All right, Anne-Marie, thanks so much. We will, of course, touch base with you throughout the morning and afternoon right here in London. The crowds have certainly assembled, and so has our CTV News team. So pour some tea, Earl Grey, Orange Pekoe, whatever you prefer. Get comfortable. Our live coronation coverage starts in just a few seconds. Stay with us.
This is a CTV News special presentation.
This day of days most memorable.
I, Charles, Prince of Wales,
doesn't miss an opportunity to play Poland.
Just delighted and happy.
I pronounce that they be man and wife together.
The Prince and Princess of Wales have decided to separate.
Our environment is losing its capacity to sustain us. My dear Papa was a very special person. Her Majesty's government's priority.
Queen Elizabeth II has passed away.
I cannot help but feel the weight of history which surrounds us.
To proclaim His Majesty, King Charles III.
God save the King. God save the King.
I am deeply aware of this great inheritance and of the duties and heavy responsibilities of sovereignty which have now passed to me.
An overcast morning here in London where history will be made and a new king will be crowned. Good morning, everyone. Hello, I'm Omar Sachedina, and welcome to CTV's special coverage of the coronation ceremony for King Charles III. A day he has known would happen since he was a very young boy, and in just a few hours' time, he will fulfill that destiny, carrying on a royal tradition hundreds of years in the making. There are crowds gathered this morning to get a glimpse of the king on what is, for them, a time of celebration, marking a new era for the monarchy and the royal family. You can see thousands of them gathered there at this hour. I'm joined now by royal commentator Afia Hagan this morning outside Westminster Abbey with me. And Afia, you and I were at the palace yesterday.
We were.
And we caught a glimpse of King Charles.
We did,
and even then, there was such a sense of enthusiasm, of jubilation, of celebration, and people spontaneously cheering, God Save the King.
Yeah, I mean, we had that biblical rain in the morning, didn't we? But I'm going to say all day, that didn't dampen people's spirits at all. People were still queuing up at the Mall. And, you know, they're glad they did because they got that impromptu walkabout from King Charles III and the Prince and Princess of Wales yesterday. Got to have a chat with them. And they were very...
This is a Global News special presentation.
It is Saturday, May 6, 2023. The planning, the rehearsals are all over, and today the coronation of King Charles III and Queen Camilla will take place here at London's Westminster Abbey. Another chapter in a long arc of history. Charles continues the reign of the House of Windsor. Hello and welcome to our live coverage of the coronation of their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla. I'm Donna Friesen and we are perched here above Westminster Abbey in London where the ceremony, a blend of ritual, religion and song, will begin in an hour from now. Most of the guests are already here. It has been 7 decades since the world witnessed what happens at the coronation of a British monarch. 70 years ago, of course, it was Charles's mother, Queen Elizabeth II, who the world was watching. Now it is her son, who has waited his whole life to take on this role. By his side, the woman he's been in love with for decades. This is an official photo of the two. Camilla will also be anointed and crowned today. This will be a grand affair with all the ritual, the pageantry the British can muster. And it's going to be a diverse service. You can see by the people filing in now, the faith leaders, a range of religions represented here, though this will be, at its heart, an Anglican ceremony. About 100 heads of state are here, presidents and prime ministers. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife among them, along with a delegation of Canadians, including the Governor General, historian Margaret McMillan, astronaut Jeremy Hansen, and leaders of Canada's Indigenous organizations and some young leaders from Canada as well. We know that President Joe Biden is not here, but his wife, the First Lady Jill Biden, is, and so is the First Lady of Ukraine. It's just begun to rain here in central London, but devoted monarchists, of course, don't care. They've been camped out along the Mall and in front of Buckingham Palace, willing to do what it takes to witness this moment in history. We'll get the first glimpse of the royals themselves in about 20 minutes. A procession will leave Buckingham Palace, and the coronation service will begin at 11 a.m. local time. It lasts about 2 hours, and then there will be another procession back to the palace. And then, of course, that wave from the balcony. The man in charge of this coronation, the Duke of Norfolk, has said the whole event will be a blend of the best of tradition and history while reflecting the nation today. Let's see who's arriving. There's another guest arriving there. They're all going to get in place, of course, before the royals arrive. You know, Prince Charles is 74 years old. He's the oldest person to accede to the British throne. He was the longest-serving heir apparent in Prince of Wales in British history. In fact,
City TV reaches from coast to coast to coast and is broadcasting from the traditional territories of many diverse Indigenous peoples throughout Turtle Island. We are grateful for their stewardship of these lands and acknowledge the colonial practices that have had a lasting and devastating impact. In our storytelling, we commit to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation.
I, Charles, Prince of Wales.
I shall strive to follow the inspiring example I have been set.
Good morning from London, England. These are live pictures inside Westminster Abbey, where people have been arriving for the last couple of hours. Welcome to our special coverage of the coronation of King Charles III, the 40th reigning monarch to be crowned at Westminster Abbey. I'm Lisa Laflamme. Thank you for joining us on this historic day. It is one very few in British or Commonwealth history have ever witnessed. 70 years since his mother's coronation, Charles will wear the same crown, but bear the weight of a new generation. We've assembled an expert panel to help guide us through the ceremony, the symbols of this day, and the impact that the monarchy, the new monarchy, is going to have on us. And of course, some familiar faces. I'm going to start with John Fraser, author of Secrets of the Crown, Helen Carr, a royal historian, and of course Perry Bellegarde, former National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations. John, just a quick moment with you. We were assembled here 8 months ago for the funeral of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. Such a different feeling today.
Just as emotional, though, in a different way. And for me, among this crowd of young people, I'm the only one that saw the other coronation. Okay. I was 9 years old.
9 years old. Where was that?
In the city of Toronto.
1953.
On the first TV set in our house.
Love it. And of course, the woman who knows all about that coronation and every coronation dating back to the year 1066. Helen, tell me about some of the special touches today that make this a new generation.
Well, I think that, you know, Charles's personal touches, his real leaning towards his environmental activism, I think is a really pervading theme. We obviously have the vegan holy oil that he's had specially made and has already been consecrated in Jerusalem. So these personal little touches are really important. But of course, what's really special is we haven't seen a coronation of this like since 1937.
Bonjour mesdames, messieurs, bienvenue à cette émission spéciale. Vous voyez des images en direct de l'abbaye de Westminster, l'église où tous les souverains britanniques sont couronnés depuis Guillaume le Conquérant en 1066, donc presque un millénaire. Ici, Céline Galipeau, nous allons assister ensemble à cet événement rarissime, historique pour les Britanniques, puisque cela fait 70 ans qu'on n'a pas assisté à un couronnement. C'était bien sûr celui d'Élisabeth II, la mère de Charles, en 1953. Elle avait 27 ans. Un cérémonial très ancien qui sera répété pour son fils, dans une cérémonie qu'on veut un peu plus sobre, moins grandiose. Alors, voici comment tout ça va se dérouler. Dans une vingtaine de minutes, le cortège va quitter le palais de Buckingham pour se rendre à l'abbaye, un trajet de 2 km, un peu plus, à travers le Mall, cette grande artère, en passant par l'Arche de l'Amirauté, puis la rue du Parlement, le 10 Downing Street, jusqu'à l'abbaye de Westminster, où la cérémonie va commencer dans 1 heure, donc 6 heures chez nous, 11 heures à Londres. Elle va durer 2 heures, puis le roi Charles III et la reine Camilla vont retourner à Buckingham, d'où ils salueront leur sujet à partir du célèbre balcon. Déjà, des centaines de milliers de personnes sont massées dans les rues de Londres. Il y a beaucoup de monde le long du parcours du cortège royal. Nous voyons des images, bien sûr, à l'intérieur de l'abbaye où les invités se sont installés déjà. Et je vous présente tout de suite nos invités sur le plateau, tous des passionnés de la monarchie. Bonjour à vous trois.
Bonjour.
Donc Estelle Boutier analyse la monarchie britannique, Marc Laurando, journaliste que vous connaissez bien, analyse la monarchie lui aussi, et révérend Olivier, qui est le doyen de Montréal et recteur de la cathédrale anglicane Christ Church de Montréal. Donc, merci d'être là avec nous ce matin pour commenter, pour analyser cette cérémonie médiévale, il faut le dire. C'est quelque chose de très ancien. Mais on a essayé de moderniser un peu. Moins d'invités que lors de du couronnement de la reine. Donc, 2000 invités. Un peu moins long aussi, cette cérémonie. 2 heures au lieu de 3. Mais quand même, c'est une cérémonie très importante, même si on sait que l'institution est un peu en crise, de moins en moins populaire, cette monarchie. Mais qu'est-ce que ça représente? Pourquoi c'est important? Estelle, je vais commencer avec vous.
C'est l'opportunité pour le roi Charles de démontrer l'opportunité, la valeur de l'Institut monarchique.